injury update from yesterday's game? Hicks, Wells, any update with those guys in terms of their availability?
They're banged up pretty good. Their availability right now is unknown, but, both got hurt pretty good.
Brandon Walton stepped in and looked like, at least at first glance, that a really good job for you at left tackle. Can you speak to the game after watching the film that he had out there?
He really battled, for his first time out as a starter or coming into the ball game, playing in an NFL game. We thought he fought hard. We thought he held his own, and we thought he did some good things in there. Very happy to see what he did when he came in.
Todd, the short yardage, you had a 4th and 1, you had a 3rd and 1 where Fournette got stopped short. Is there something, obviously you're down some offensive line, but is there something you'd point to for why those didn't click?
Well, we got to find a way to get a yard, and for whatever reason it didn't click, whether they made a good play or we didn't, we got to find a way to get 1 yard every time if we want to go for it on 4th down.
We'd asked you in postgame about kind of the altercation between Evans and Fournette and Lattimore. You said you hadn't seen it. Having looked at that now, is there anything that stands out, anything that changes your perspective on what you saw?
Well, the tape cuts off. All I can see is the TV copy. It doesn't change my perspective. We don't want any fighting in our game because we lose a good player. It doesn't help our team. So we don't condone that. We don't teach that. We don't want that in our game.
Coach, I guess there's going to be a suspension of Mike. Is that your understanding? And just what's your reaction to that?
Yes, he'll get 1 game. I found that about 10 minutes ago. He'll have a 1-game suspension. Like I said, the fighting alone loses a player for the next game. It hurts our team because we lose a very good ball player. We don't want that. We don't condone it. And, we got to move forward and try to find a way to win without him. But that should be a lesson to all our other players.
How fine a line is that to stick up for your teammates, to be fired up about the game, but to not cross over into unwanted territory?
Well, it's always a fine line. This is a controlled aggression game. It's a controlled aggression game, and you try to protect your teammates, but you got to do it the right way.
Todd, Perriman's been one of those players that has kind of flown under the radar unless he's really needed to step up, and yesterday was one of those games for him making that 4th down play. What can you say about just his ability at times, not all the time, but at times to rise up in those instances, whether it be at the end of the 2019 season for you or yesterday?
Well, he's always prepared. His readiness, his understanding of the game, doing the right things all the time, staying mentally sharp, doing all the little things. He's a pro's pro. He's a guy's guy, especially in the locker room, understanding what he has to do to prepare. So when the moment comes, it's not too big for him. It's routine for him, and it's a small thing that goes under the radar, but it's a big thing for us.
It's obvious what the younger tight ends are giving you from a special teams and a blocking standpoint. But with Mike out, do you need more pass catching from that position in general, Todd?
Not necessarily that position, but from everybody that's on the field, running backs and receivers. We're going to have to pick it up somewhere. Somebody's going to have to make a play and step up, and that's what we got depth for.
Todd, there were a lot of questions about special teams and cover units in the preseason, and it seems like they've been fairly solid these first 2 games. I think the Saints had negative yardage on punt returns yesterday. Camarda had 3 punts inside the 20. It seemed like your returns were better than theirs. Has that been a pleasant surprise so far?
It's been a very good surprise. They've been physical. They've been on top of things. They play with their hair on fire, so to speak, in special teams terms, and, it's been very pleasing to see.
Todd, it's my understanding the league's also looking into the sideline, and you've had yesterday Bruce Arians was on the sideline, still doing what Bruce does with referees or whatever. First of all, are you okay? You're obviously okay with him being in the front office and still being on the sideline. Do you think that he needs to go upstairs, or is there any? What's your feeling?
Well, he's always upstairs, but they didn't have a box to give us this game, so everybody that was upstairs were downstairs.
So Raymond James Stadium this week and on throughout the year, Jason, Bruce, and those guys will be upstairs. Is that your?
Jason's always downstairs. Bruce is always upstairs.
Todd, there was word over the weekend that Brady would be taking Wednesday as a personal day every day this week. He had kind of taken a day in the second half of last season. Is that the plan? And do you think that works okay for what you need from him?
It's not a personal day. It's a rest day. It's also Julio's rest day. And then we have Chris on Thursday, Mike and Levante on Friday, so it's not just him. You know, we have guys, we have designated days off for after games to help them recover quicker and do things. And he has Wednesday, but so does Julio.
How optimistic are you of Julio playing this week?
And we'll see how he recovers. Again, we got a long week ahead of us, and I can't make that decision without seeing him.
Is the rest day for Brady just at practice, or is he here during the?
Oh, he's here. He's in meetings. The rest day for everybody is just at practice.
Todd, the NFL's become more of a pass-friendly league with the rule changes over the last couple of years, quarterbacks and receivers that are coming in. But it seems like, at least through the first two games, teams are kind of going back to the run a little bit more, emphasizing that, or at least trying to be more balanced. Is that something that you've seen, or is that just kind of a snap judgment after just 2 weeks?
I think it's just 2 weeks. You know, I haven't seen all the games, but some teams are trying to run it, some teams are still trying to throw it. So it fluctuates and it changes from time to time, depending on, I guess, your personnel. You'll do one heavy or the other.
In the first quarter of both of these last games, you guys have given up more yards on the ground than you wanted to. Is that something that teams are attacking you schematically and you're maybe not in the right defense, or is it just simply guys getting out of their gap, missing tackles? What is your assessment so far on why some teams have been able to get after you a little bit on the ground early on?
Well, some of it we played a pass early on. Some of it we just been out of our gaps, and we haven't been gap sound in 2 weeks to my liking anyway. So we're going to work on that, and it's the start of the season. We got a chance to get better.
With respect to Mike, I mean, Marshawn was part of that too. Are you surprised or disappointed at all? Because he had an incident last week where he shoved a player to the ground and drew a 15-yard penalty for it, that there wasn't a same player suspended for that altercation as well?
He was, but I can only worry about my team. You know, I can only control what happens on this team and not worry about everybody else.
So your understanding is Lattimore was suspended?
I don't know what happened with Lattimore. I just know what happens with Mike.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Thanks.
Thank you.